Welcome back, AutoCAD for Technician students. What I'm going to show you in this video is how to actually depict drawings of objects such as these tools that you see on the screen. So oftentimes with AutoCAD you're going to want to actually depict objects like these tools. Many times you'll see in toolboxes they'll have things called shadow boxes. And shadow boxes are devices or ways to organize tools in a drawer, I guess, simply put. So to do that, you actually want to measure these tools and create a drawing of them. And then you can actually cut out on a laser or CNC mill or something like that templates that these tools will fit into. Okay, there's a few things you need to know before you can do that though. Now if you look at these tools, okay, they have a basic shape to them. Most of them, like sockets, are really easy. They're round. Okay, but now this, the ratchet, it's got some sort of curvature to it. Okay, and it actually can take you a lot of time to draw this accurately. Okay, just take your time when drawing it. Now, to measure these tools, we're going to actually use a caliper, a dial caliper. It's a pretty useful device measuring smaller objects like this. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So if we look at the outside diameter of this, it is 0.654. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually draw on my piece of paper this object. I should have started with that before. So say in our shadow box we want this to lay like this. We need to make a drawing of it. So don't mind my artwork. And this part really is not that important. It's our dimensions that are important. Okay, so this diameter, large diameter, is 0.653. Smaller diameter, I'm actually going to measure the larger part, the round part here, is, sorry about this glare there, 0.458. Okay, the length of this longer diameter, or smaller diameter. Now this one, you really no good surface to put it on, so you just have to try to get close. Length is 2.120, maybe a little more. 2.135 we'll put. Okay, and then this larger one, larger diameter, we'll measure that. We'll just go 0.7. How's that? That's close enough. Okay. Now when I say the term close enough, I don't mean to say AutoCAD is an inaccurate drawing software, a way of depicting objects, but when we're measuring stuff like this, basically it doesn't have to be that precise. But if you're measuring precision parts that come out of a CNC machine, definitely close enough is not good enough. Okay, so you have to be exactly accurate when you're measuring precision parts. But when we're measuring these to build toolbox liners for them, it's okay to be a little bit off or inaccurate. So this was 0.70. Now a thing to remember, if we're looking at this, those were the actual measurements of that part. Now if we're going to cut this out on a laser per se, a laser will cut exactly what you tell it to cut. So this 0.7 inches is going to be exactly 0.7. And this 0.653 is going to be exactly 0.653. question you need to ask yourself is, will this tool fit in that slot if we make that slot that exact dimension? The answer to that is no. It will not fit in that slot. So what we need to do is we need to add some clearance, I guess you could say, on these measurements. So when I'm going to draw this drawing, bring up AutoCAD here, get rid of this other drawing. Okay, I'm going to draw this. It doesn't matter where I draw it for now. We're going to go 0.7. Okay, and we're going to go 0.653. And come back this way. Okay, so like I said, this drawing here, these dimensions, 0.653 and 0.7, that's not big enough. So what can we do to make that larger? We can offset it, or we can just add some size to these dimensions. So I'm actually going to redraw this. Now, a good rule of thumb, 5 thousandths of clearance is good enough. So what I mean by thousandths, if we look at the decimal point, it's decimal, it's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So the third line is your thousandth space. Okay, so 0.705. Okay, that's pretty tight tolerance. For making a shadow box in a toolbox, I'm actually going to go to the hundredths. So this measurement here is going to get larger by 0.1 or 0.01. So what I mean by that, it's going to be 0.71. That gives me 10 thousandths of clearance. Okay, and then 0.653 is going to be 0.663. 0.71. Okay, so we just increased the size by 10 thousandths of an inch, or 0.01. That just gives it enough clearance for that tool to slide in its slot. Okay, then the same thing we're going to do with this lower, or the smaller part. Okay, to do this one, what I'm going to do is actually draw it separately. I'm going to draw a line. Remember, we got to add 10 thousandths to it. So 0.468. Then we'll add thousandths to the 2.135 here. So 2.145. 0.468. Okay, and now I can move this with center point to the center point of here. Delete. We can trim. There you have it. So there is our drawing depiction of this socket extension. Now the same thing applies if you're drawing a outline of this ratchet. You're going to have to figure out the diameter of this ratchet and this area here. Okay, and remember, you have to give it clearance. Sockets, those are very simple to measure. They're a simple one diameter thing. You'd set them right in like that. So when you draw your circle, you would want that diameter to be at least 10 thousandths larger than your actual measurement. So very critical if you're trying to build something that objects need to sit in. Okay, so if you're building pockets for a device, it needs to have some sort of clearance for that object to go in there. Okay, so that's the basics of two-dimensional modeling with toolbox or tools and toolboxes, or shadow boxes. If you have any questions, consult your instructor. Thank you. Happy drawing.